Marcus Dion is facing up against a giant. I feel like Wolfe needs no introduction to the numerous list of accomplishments that he has. 10 times a regional champion.
So much of it that Lycanroc showed up as the 12th most used Pokemon in the format, but Marcus is the last one standing.
And funny when he said in his interview earlier that he barely had any experience on this team. He just reached out to someone and said, hey, can I use this?
Into Incineroar in other games. And the Flare Blitz could be helpful damage in the King Gambit. You've got to be afraid of Defiant here as well if you're really worried about, at some point a King Gambit, if it has attack, is even threatening the Charizard itself with Sucker Punch, and then things might start to look really difficult because Toxapex can't do much to support Charizard away from that. Game, but that's not necessarily a given. Wolfe probably has other game plans, doesn't have to lean on the Toxapex so hard if he's worried about the threat of some of the options on Marcus' side.
Let's get into it. Our final top 8 at the North America International Championships of 2026 between Wolfe Glick and Marcus Dion. That Charizard hits the field next to Wolfe's trusty Incineroar. And for Marcus, it's going to be the Lycanroc and Basculegion.
To stymie Accelerock from the other side for now, Basculegion wants off the field.
It's going to be the Sneasler that comes in to take its place, so maybe we just end up seeing a Protect out of this Lycanroc. But the Incineroar is also going to go back to its Pokeball. It's done its job of that Intimidate drop. Charizard Mega Evolving, Drought, Set, Sun activated, and this Charizard is ready to throw out those Heat Waves or maybe even a Solar Beam at this Lycanroc. Let's find out. Is Lycanroc, though, going to Protect for this turn, so it's not going to take any damage? But the Sneasler could be worse for wear. Just kidding. Charizard's going to Protect too, but it fails because there was nothing else happening this turn.
Now Lycanroc can't protect this turn, but Marcus, one step ahead, also got Sneasler on the field, is able to get the faster fake out and flinch the Sneasler in Wolfe's side.
So Lycanroc is free to go for the Rock Slide, but it's going to miss the Charizard. Critical here, as this Charizard is not going to take any damage or even be under threat of a knockout. Sneasler takes a little chip, but this Charizard gets the breathing room that it needs. A Heat Wave to connect on both Pokemon. Gonna break the Focus Sash on that Lycanroc, and that's just going to take another one to clean out both of them.
With the faster fake out. Now though, Lycanroc wants off the field. No Charizard can just protect itself for this turn. A little bit too much danger, so instead Basculegion onto the field.
Basculegion gets in for now, as Charizard does have that Protect, but Sneasler can go for the close combat. Doesn't fall for the Ghost type on the other side, but actually doesn't get the knockout into Marcus' Sneasler anyway. The defenses drop, but that means that the White Herb gets to activate, and that will be the Sneasler getting an unburdened boost for the next turn. But it's got to take a close combat on the other side. You can see just how these Sneaslers trading those close combats, dropping those defenses, and the White Herb activates too for Marcus.
I think this is a really strong turn for Marcus. The close combat into Wolfe's Sneasler.
So that's why we see Wolfe actually take this Charizard off the field. You want to make sure that that Sun is going to be active later. Charizard's also still so healthy, so that makes a great resource to rely upon later in the game. As the Incineroar comes in, gets the Intimidate drop into both of these physical attackers. We see the Sneasler protect itself from a Dire Claw. Basculegion, though, in the Sun, is still going to fire up this Wave Crash and not get the KO onto Wolfe's Sneasler.
Come on, but your opponent's doing the same thing with Lycanroc, and so maybe some urgency to get value out of other Pokemon in the meantime, shift up this board position.
Well, we're not going to see the Toxapex in this game. Instead, it's going to be the Hydreigon with that Choice Scarf. A switch in that would for sure be able to take the Aqua Jet if you were expecting it to be a roll from the Basculegion. But a fake out into Marcus' Sneasler is going to send it back packing, and the Sun fades away.
I really like that play. In any earlier turn, the Hydreigon would have been really vulnerable to the Sneasler on the other side. It had unburdened itself, so it would have been faster than the Choice Scarf. Hydreigon had been threatening a super effective close combat. Wrong side of where the targeting is, crucial damage could land right now.
But on the flip side of things, you gotta be really careful about when you actually set this snow. You would love to be able to throw out those blizzards, but the Charizard is always waiting in the wings from Wolfe to come back in and take that snow away. As we see the Frostlass Mega Evolve in this turn, it's gonna be the Sneasler joining the fray from Wolfe's side of the field. The Hydreigon has set its target on this Basculegion. A one-hit knockout with the Dark Pulse is going to bring Marcus in this first game down to just 2 Pokemon. Frostlass gets to use Blizzard though, so you're going to end up having to trade your Sneasler for the Basket Legion, and you don't get the KO onto the Hydreigon either.
You don't get the KO on Hydreigon, but you leave it so low that a Celerock is a future threat for a KO. We're really used to seeing those Basket Legions when they're holding Citrus Berry be bulky enough to take a hit, even when it's super effective, like a Sucker Punch from a King Gambit. But Hydreigon, they're having enough special attack to just get the KO and then withstand the hit back. But now this is the Lycanroc's moment to shine. And one vulnerable Pokemon and get up a Pokemon, it'll be huge, but no Celerock!
No
Dark Pulse!
Celerock at all!
Lycanroc down!
Lycanroc just falls to the Dark Pulse there, and so that's going to be the Frostlass left to fend for itself. Try to bring that Justice back for its teammates. It fires off the Shadow Ball, which is going to be good to get the knockdown into the Hydreigon, but Charizard's free and clear. You can just throw a Weather Ball at this Frostlass, knock it out. Doesn't even not going to be the Weather Ball, it's just going to be the single target Heat Wave. And game one goes to Wolfe Glick.
Yeah, I think Wolf there saying you can only work and try to end the game itself against Lycanroc. But yeah, the threat of both attackers, Marcus is looking to make a read on which is going to protect or switch, but Wolf doesn't have to do either. It's up enough to just give one away. Now we're back into a game. New leads, Sneasler and Charizard versus the Lycanroc and Basket Legion on a future turn, but that's where Intimidate is for now, though. No switches, just Mega Evolution.
Mega Evolution for that Charizard. You know that's the only Mega on Wolf's team, so you should expect that every game if it's on the field. Drought set. Sun once again activated, which is going to limit this Basket Legion's damage output quite a bit. This Lycanroc is going to protect itself. Under threat of Fake Out, it does not want its Focus Sash to be broken, and it also does not want to just get KO'd right here. Charizard is going to get set up for a Solar Beam, and the Solar Beam doesn't go towards the Lycanroc, it's into the Basket Legion, not protecting itself. Does get taken down into the red, but that's what the Citrus Berry is for. It's going to be able to get a little bit of HP recovery back and hopefully get something done with this Wave Crash. But it's in the sun, and the Sneasler is so bulky, as we saw from that last game.
Basket, so I'm going to throw damage at the Basket Legion as well. Marcus doesn't double protect, so gives over a really big Solar Beam there. And now is worried about close combat into the Lycanroc, and so has to bring Frostlass in to try to take that. Meanwhile, Charizard, scared of a Celerock, leaving the field itself for Incineroar to get a pretty valuable Intimidate, and the Basket Legion would have been 2 valuable Intimidates if Frostlass hadn't just entered the field.
Ghost types means that no close combat from this Sneasler is going to land. But another Wave Crash will. Sneasler still hanging on through that. And now there's an Incineroar here to join the party.
Sneasler may not have the offense to deal with Basket Legion yet, especially as bulky as they are, as bulky as we've seen the Sneasler is.
Where there's two Ghost types on the field, there's no close combat, and there's also no Fake Out. So the Incineroar isn't able to go for that on this turn. Also naturally slower means that this Frostlass is going to be able to guarantee a Blizzard, a KO onto the Sneasler, and some nice chip to start getting this Incineroar whittled down. But that means it's still here on the field to have this Wave Crash. And since the snow took that sun away, Incineroar's just going to get knocked out. A double into the Incineroar takes it down, and it's a 2 knockout Pokemon advantage for Marcus Dion.
Yeah, Marcus basically just makes the simplest play once again. Says that I can get the Blizzard and I can get the Wave Crash. I don't mind losing Basket Legion because this end game Charizard and then have the Mega Evolution happen afterwards. Your Hydreigon in the back so important. You don't want it to take a Blizzard, and so he's kind of forced to give over 2 KOs there. But yeah, this looks so difficult for Wolf at this point. Into the Charizard. If you can make those happen, you're going to be in a great spot. For now, you need Fake Out to stop the Charizard offense.
But Hydreigon just goes for the Dark Pulse into the Sneasler. Maybe thinking like, okay, well, at least I can get some damage down onto that. Or maybe, even better, I break the Focus Sash on that Lycanroc. But the Blizzard comes out, connects into both in the sun because this Frostlass is just built different. And so that's going to be some great damage down into both Pokemon.
For the special attack drop, maybe already looking for flinches. A flinch here could be really impactful if you also get Blizzard misses, but it may just be Shadow Ball to close up a safe KO.
Yeah, it's just going to be Shadow Ball into the Hydreigon. Took so much damage from that Blizzard before that this Tickle is going to take it down. Charizard can still maybe fire an off attack here, but it depends on whether or not this Sneasler can actually get through that. Dark Pulse does actually get the flinch, but it doesn't really matter. Charizard gets the Heat Wave here, and we're going to be able to bring the Lycanroc back in with that Focus Sash.
Yeah, it's all for naught because Lycanroc is going to come in with extreme 1v1. When you write down Lycanroc on the team sheet, this is what you envision. You envision Charizard on the other side, Lycanroc sitting opposite it, a Celerock with priority, able to move first and KO Charizard. Extra credit on bringing us to a game 3.
Celerock, final nail in the coffin for this Charizard.
But maybe the one that would struggle the most against the King Gambit, I don't think we've actually seen from Marcus yet. So maybe there's an opportunity for an adjustment, or maybe you just think, I won game 1 in the damage trades, let me win game 2 in the damage trades. These are going back to the leads from game 1, where Wolfe was able to win, and finding the same leads on the opposite side for Marcus that Wolfe got in game 1. So gets a really valuable Intimidate in both of these Pokemon quite a bit. Yeah, Incineroar right off the field once again, but now Sneasler on instead.
Same run back of what we ended up seeing in that very first game, except this time we aren't going to end up seeing an additional pivot coming out from Marcus.
Remember the crucial Rock Slide miss early on in game 1? Wolfe's not going to probably get that again.
Charizard is going to Mega Evolve here, but protects. So it might not be a Rock Slide miss now, but the Sneasler has to come in and maybe take some damage. Basculegion was throwing out Aqua Jet that Charizard's way, so the protect is good to stave it off. And the Rock Slide from the Lycan Rock will connect onto the Sneasler and start to chip it away.
Yeah, not too significant of damage. The Sneasler pretty bulky, but it could matter in the end. The critical hit helping to break through the Intimidate, find the damage into Lycanroc, and you probably don't want the Lycanroc to escape in the back. This is huge. Focus Sash broken. Fake Out lands this time.
Yeah, and that leaves his Lycanroc vulnerable. It's not going to be able to get an attack off on this turn, and Charizard's just going to launch out a Heat Wave. It misses the Basculegion, but not the Lycanroc, so it's going to make it a lot easier to clean up on a subsequent turn. Basculegion Wave Crash in the sun. It is going to hit its primary target in that Charizard, but only takes it to about half. So it's going to be recoiled back. You might have loved to have with the Heat Wave, but at least you're doing a little bit. Marcus
has consistently shown willingness to switch Lycanroc out. And the situation where you switch Charizard out and Lycanroc switch out, that's what leads to the late game between Lycanroc and Charizard.
Oh, it's going to be a rotation of Pokemon. Charizard leaving for Hydreigon and Frostlass coming in for the Basculegion. As Lycanroc does use the Excel Rock into the Hydreigon, it's going to be a nice switch in to have, as the Sneasler does land the close combat. So Lycanroc is taken down out of this game. One Pokemon already secured as a KO for Wolfe in game 3.
This is a disaster of a turn for Marcus. Tries to fish, says, Wolfe, you might just risk that Charizard. I'm going to click Accelerock into it, but is punished so hard. Not only punished by the Accelerock not landing much damage, and the close combat cleaning up the Lycanroc so that Charizard feels safer in the future. Even more punished, be a big problem.
Frostlass and Basculegion both have the option to protect, but it's not going to. Basculegion knows that the Dark Pulse is going to knock it out, so the Sneasler gets to come in instead. Frostlass Mega Evolves means that it's going to take away the sun, set the snow, and be able to get those 100% accurate blizzards. That's something that this Hydreigon will fall to based on how much damage we've seen so far. But the Sneasler says, not right now, I'm gonna protect myself. As the Hydreigon does throw out the Dark Pulse, the Frostlass is going to be down to 23 HP, but I think this Hydreigon's gonna trade itself. I think you like it though, as Frostlass's Blizzard lands into the Hydreigon. I think it's gonna be out of here, and we get to see the Charizard come back in and take away the weather.
Charizard may come in, Incineroar may come in as well, provide a valuable Intimidate, provide a Blizzard resistance. Either option pretty good for Wolfe. Wolfe has the Unburden, Marcus doesn't have the Unburden, but Marcus has the Fake Out, Wolfe doesn't have the Fake Out. So bringing in Drone Incineroar helps to also offer that, so that you know, kind of can think about all of the options here for Wolfe and Marcus at this point. And again, showing the Fake Out, making you respect it, and then getting it off the field, taking the snow away, getting Charizard back.
Going to take away the accuracy of these Blizzards as well. So this Frostlass, if it wants to guarantee damage, is going to have to go for those Shadow Balls. As Sneasler flinches, Frostlass is going to just hit a double Blizzard anyway. As Sneasler and Charizard do survive it.
We gave up so many resources in there. Oh, Marcus wins the Sweet Type, but it's just close combat and Charizard getting the KO there.
Wow, so that's a huge Pokemon knocked out. Wolfe does not have this Mega Evolution anymore. Going to be forced to bring back in this Incineroar, but you gotta hope that you can even up the Pokemon count at the very least, as Dire Claw is going to take out the opposite Mega. But that was a 2v2 between Wolfe's Sneasler and Incineroar, and Marcus with the Basculegion and Sneasler.
The damage from the Basculegion on the other side, but having full health on both the Sneasler and the Basculegion is so much to ask Incineroar to deal with, because Sneasler is really not going to offer much help at this point.
National champion from 2019. Wolfe's Incineroar having to be on the receiving end of a close combat. It does get taken down to below half HP, but can the Wave Crash from this Basculegion actually finish it off? At the very least, this Incineroar does get a bit of HP back from the Citrus Berry, and hopefully its partner Sneasler can help it out with something. A poison may be huge here, as it does get that activation onto the Basculegion, with maybe some poison recoil at the end of the turn, Wave Crash recoil adding up, but it's looking tough. This Sneasler is still very healthy.
Yeah, the Sneasler health is huge, but you've dealt with one of the threats. You don't even need the poison damage, just being able to withstand the wave crash in the sun with the Intimidate, withstand the close combat with the Intimidate, but now your Pokemon are so low, both clearly in close combat range at a time. Wolf also has to protect and Dire Claw.
Wow.
Oh, look how much damage the Dire Claw is.
It does half to the Sneasler. There's not going to be an additional status that ends up getting activated, but the gong shot from the opposing Sneasler is going to be able to bring this down to a 1v1. Oh my gosh, when it comes down to this, a Sneasler versus Sneasler.
I believe this is a Sneasler speed tie.
Sneasler's right now, and it's going to be Wolfe Sneasler that moves first. A close combat is going to finish off Marcus's, and Wolfe Glick, 2019 NAIC champion, might get another shot moving on to the top 4.
There was one too many defense drops on that Sneasler. Had it been able to withstand 2 attacks, Marcus had it wrapped up, but it had to close combat one too many times, had to close combat into Incineroar, had to close combat into the Sneasler on the other side, had to close combat a Charizard at one point to pick up a KO there. Didn't want to risk Gunk Shot in any of those moments, didn't want to risk that 85% accuracy, instead takes all of those defense drops, and that's one too many. Sneasler able to pick up the 2-hit KO on his counterpart, win the speed tie at the end to swing out first and finish that KO and move Wolfe Glick on to the semifinals of this tournament.